Today, we unravel one of the most chilling mountaineering mysteries in modern history, the Dyatlov Pass Incident. 1959, Soviet Union. 9 experienced hikers set out into the freezing Ural Mountains and never returned. What rescuers discovered would haunt investigators for decades. Their tent was ripped from the inside, as if they fled something in panic. Some bodies were found barefoot and half-naked, scattered in the snow. One was missing eyes and a tongue, another had crushed ribs with no external wounds. And the strangest part, their clothes had traces of radiation. Was it an avalanche, a military experiment, or something far beyond explanation? The Dyatlov mystery remains unsolved. So what terrified these hikers so much they ran into the deadly cold? Share your theories in the comments. Story takes us into the shadows of one of history's most silent yet deadly disasters, the Great Smog of London, 1952. December, 1952. Londoners wake up to an unusually dense fog. At first it seems normal, but within hours the city is swallowed in darkness. Visibility drops to just a few feet. No one realizes yet that this is a lethal threat. For 4 days, toxic air suffocates the city. Industrial coal smoke mixes with household fires, creating a giant cloud of poison. People struggle to breathe. Animals collapse in the streets. Events are canceled, hospitals overflow. And even ambulances can't navigate the streets. The fog is too thick. When the smog finally lifts, the truth is devastating. Officially, 4,000 deaths are reported, but some estimates say the toll was closer to 12,000 lives lost. The tragedy sparked major changes in environmental laws, but it left a haunting legacy, one that reminds us that the most dangerous killers can be invisible. Was this just nature, or was it humanity's own carelessness? Story is about the only murder trial in history where a ghost was accepted as a witness. 1897, Greenbrier, West Virginia. A young woman named Elva Zona Heister is found dead in her home. Her husband says it was natural. The doctor agrees. Everyone moves on, except her mother. Mary Jane Heister feels it in her bones. This wasn't fate, this was murder, but she has no proof. Only dreams. One night, Mary Jane sees a figure in her room. It's Elva, pale, silent, dead. The ghost tells her the truth. Her husband broke her neck in a fit of rage. For 4 nights in a row, Elva's ghost returns, repeating the same horrific story. Mary Jane goes to the authorities. They laugh at first, but her persistence leads to the exhumation of the body. And the truth is undeniable. Elva's neck was broken. Her husband, Edward, is tried and found guilty. To this day, it's the only known case where ghostly testimony helped convict a murderer. Was it real, a mother's intuition? Or did the dead really speak? Let us know what you believe. Because sometimes the grave doesn't stay silent. London, 1870s. The streets are foggy, the homes are cold, and disease spreads easily. A newborn baby passes away from a sudden fever. The family is in mourning. But in this time, there was a way to preserve one last image. A photographer is called. Because the baby is about to pose for the first and last time. This practice was known as post-mortem photography. Children were posed after death, as if they were simply asleep. Sometimes their eyes were drawn onto closed eyelids to appear awake. Often they were photographed alongside living siblings. The photo would be framed and displayed in the living room, because for many families, it was the only picture ever taken. To us today, this may seem disturbing, but at the time these photos were symbols of love and mourning. Technology advanced, our view of death evolved, but back then, this ritual was often the only way for a mother to say goodbye. What do you think about this tradition? Share your thoughts in the comments, because sometimes the past is darker than we imagine. We dive into one of the most haunting and painful traditions in history, the Chinese practice of foot binding. For centuries, millions of young girls endured unimaginable pain, all in the name of beauty. 10th century China, in royal courts, women with tiny, delicate feet, called lotus feet, became the ultimate symbol of elegance. And soon, this idea spread across the entire empire. Girls as young as 4 or 5 had their feet broken and tightly bound. The goal? To prevent them from growing. Because in that society, small feet equals sign grace. The child screams. She cries in pain. Her mother holds her down. Because this is for her future. Pain becomes destiny. Day by day, the bindings grow tighter. Toenails pierce flesh. Bones crush into each other. Infections spread. Girls can barely walk. But in society's eyes, this is the height of femininity. A woman's only chance at a good marriage depends on this ritual. So she either accepts the pain or is forgotten. This continued for over 1,000 years. The practice was gradually banned in the early 20th century. But even today, some elderly Chinese women still carry the scars. Their feet remain as silent screams from a beautiful prison. Was beauty truly worth it? Let us know in the comments, because not every tradition is beautiful. Some leave behind permanent pain. We reveal one of the most shocking and real medical practices in history. Drinking lead. Yes, at one point in time, people, especially the mentally ill, were made to drink water from lead vessels as a form of treatment. 19th century England. Mental health isn't science yet. It's an experiment. Doctors try everything on patients they call insane. Chaining, freezing water, and yes, lead. They believed that lead's heavy and dulling properties would calm the mind. So they gave patients water from lead cups, thinking it would suppress their disorders. Lead slowly destroys the nervous system, shaking, confusion, speech loss, and eventually death. But back then, doctors thought this was improvement. The patient no longer screams. They no longer move. To the doctors, this was healing. But in reality, the patient was simply being poisoned. Eventually, lead's toxic effects were discovered, but by then, thousands had already died. What we now see as horrifying was once considered scientific truth. So what else can be done in the name of science? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, because sometimes reality is darker than fiction. Palermo, Italy. In the silent underground corridors of an old monastery lie hundreds of mummified bodies, some with eyes open, some with peaceful faces. But all of them look like they're just waiting. One body stands out, Rosalia Lombardo, a 2-year-old girl who died in 1920. She was so perfectly mummified, it said her eyelids still flutter, as if she blinks. These bodies have shocked scientists for decades. Their organs remain intact. Their skin still flexible, but no one truly knows how they were preserved. Rosalia's formula was taken to the grave by the embalmer, Alfredo Salafia. To this day, experts debate whether her eyes really move or it's just an illusion. These mummified nuns are now part of a public exhibition. Some visitors say they feel watched. Some swear the eyes follow them. What do you think? Are these souls at peace, or are they still waiting for something?